So maybe you're going to be stripping this grip, stepping this leg back, pummeling it through, and now here you are on the outside.
My hips and heavy, and this is where the melting part comes.
So let me break it all down for you. I ain't never giving up, I ain't never giving up. Taking that crown from you.
Alright guys, I'm here with two superstars, Sensei Brian Glick and then Sensei Nick Domgjoni. You guys all know Brian Glick. You guys have his YouTube channel, we're gonna link it down below. Domgjoni doesn't have that big of a social media presence, but we're working on it.
We're working on it.
We're working on it. Amazing jiu-jitsu. So we're gonna kind of mix and talk about some technical stuff. I love his passing system, I love your passing system. So I'm gonna be Uke and then kind of, we'll just take it from there. Right? Okay. So essentially you're teaching Sensei Glick how to pass.
Oh God, why you gotta put me on the spot?
I mean, this is why I showed it to you. This is why I showed it to you.
Who's going?
But you know, Domgjoni invented the whole system, so that's what we're talking
Show me
about.
the melting pass system under 3 minutes.
It's essentially a headquarters passing system, right? When I step in, I like to get an angle first, right? So if I like to step in with my left leg, I like to circle towards my right first, right? It gives us a pretty clear path. My outside leg goes first, inside leg follows, and I look to push the knees across my chest here and kind of start dropping my hips in heavy. And this is where the melting part kind of comes, right? Usually we look for knee cuts and things like that, but I really like to try to keep Shintaro's heel glued to his butt, right? If he tries to off balance me here and lift, it's very hard. Now, usually first things first, I like to lead with the knee weave, right? So once I get my chest to the outside of the leg here, my right hand goes to the outside of his back and my left hand goes to the inside collar. Now we can get a couple different reactions from here. Either he opens up the knee and I start cutting into the side. If I feel this knee pressure opening up, I can also look to remove that frame here by turning my chest and dragging it by. Now we can start getting towards sprawling passes and things like that. But it all starts off the niche, the headquarters. I lost my words. See, I was trying to say melting pass. So once I step in here, I always like to start with that knee weave. I think it makes more sense. A lot of the reactions kind of tend to lead to knee cuts and other sort of passes here. So first things first, I step in, getting my angle, 1, 2, pushing the knees across and immediately driving my hips in. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Keep going.
So the amazing thing here, right, is when you go into
Yes.
this sort of melting pass system that you invented that I've never seen anyone else do, right? A lot of the times you float up about this way, right?
Yes.
You go like you interchange these two passes with the knee goes out to the inside.
Towards floating passes, yeah.
Yeah, and then you go to the floating pass as well, right?
Either looking to pin an inside hand here, and then starting to look to maybe get a shin in front, depending on how you react, sometimes hitting even hip switches, especially if your hands are occupied on my upper body, right? You can start looking to lean, take the leg out, settle on the hips here. It really depends on how you react.
Yeah, and I think the hardest thing about what I'm doing with this with you is that whenever I'm pushing, I'm not really pushing into anything.
Yes.
Right? It feels like I'm dealing with a wet blanket. I'm just kind of like, can you explain that?
I call that more than I like. Yeah, I want to kind of make sure that if your hands are occupied, they're on my upper body here, right? It's usually fairly easy to get back towards some sort of inside pin here with swimming my hands inside, either on the bicep, on the hand, but I'm trying to kind of elicit some sort of reaction out of you, right? Either push away, right? Or hands above your shoulder where I can start hip switching, right? If I can turn the knee, or if you turn into me there, I can start going to my knee cuts. If this leg is kind of staying heavy and I go for a knee cut here and it just doesn't work, I can start coming backwards and start dropping my head over your shoulder here. And I think that might be, I haven't seen it yet, but similar to maybe what you guys were talking about.
Yeah, and then you do a thing where you kind of bring the hips up high and then you bring the head down low. Because he's so hip heavy and you have this sort of tripod position. Yeah. And then maybe you could teach us that on camera and then we could try to blend the two. And then I'll call it like my own thing. The Higashi passing system.
So this is the alchemy of Shintaro.
And it'll be judo newaza. Not even it's judo newaza.
You know, I think that the playing hip heavy is a great strategy. You know, ultimately when you're passing the guard, you're looking to control. Ideally, you know, you're looking to usually begin with control at the knees and the hips, and then you're going to end up with control at the upper body. Right? That's kind of where the pin happens. So any kind of situation where we can have our partner in a supine position, their back is on the floor, as Nick was saying, creating an angle, that's always a good starting position. And whether you choose to pass inside or outside, having your partner supine is very important, right? It's much easier to pass the guard usually of a person who is on their back than a person who's seated. Okay, this is a challenge because your partner is very mobile. You're dealing with level changing issues. Okay, they have access to your legs here, whether they're choosing to enter into ashigarami or they're looking to tie up your wrists, and you've got some issues here. So when your partner is supine, you put them flat. Now his grips are limited. Really in terms of what he can reach with his hands. If my hips stay back here, at best he's going to get a grip on the wrists or the cuffs, and that's much more manageable. Okay, so Nick was kind of talking about moving and taking a leg to the inside and then working off of positions that look something like this. The virtues of inside position is that you're dominating the space between your partner's knees, and the way that he was doing it with this position with your hips on the outside, you also have the ability to smash your partner's knees and turn them away from you. An alternative to this is rather than stepping to the inside, stepping to the outside, more like a Toriando style pass. Okay, this can be set up same way. We're approaching our partner here, we're creating an angle of some sort, and then rather than stepping a leg deliberately to the inside, we're keeping both our legs back with our head slightly down. When you establish this particular posture, now it's more difficult for your partner to get to your legs. You're not trying to get to the inside. Instead, you're looking to create a flank situation where you're out in the line, you're in line with your partner's hip. You were asking about, is this kind of thing where we go into a tripod from here? So we keep the legs back, and what we do is we weight our hand using our body weight and bring our head forward. So as you go to recover this position, it's not quite that easy, like you're carrying my weight. We have a hand that's guiding the knee past. If at any point we feel like the leg is able to slip past, it's relatively easy to control your partner up at the hip line, then move up to the shoulder line. And if we ever feel like, usually your partner is going to be bringing this knee to the inside position here, but the fact that your head is down low makes it difficult for them to make use of the top leg, right? So this recovery leg really does most of its work when there's some space here, right? He pummels through and makes this space. But when the head is down, even if he gets his leg kind of all the way around the corner here, somehow, it's not that difficult for us to move into positions like north-south and stuff like that. So I would say that, on one hand, what Nick was explaining was more of an inside, kind of like a combination of inside-outside passing position, right? It's like headquarters style. You have a leg on the inside, but you're picking and choosing your shots, whether you go to the outside from leg inside or you weave across and you put your leg in between. This kind of Toriando style camping pass involves you moving to the outside of your partner's legs. And I would say that a good passing system would have both elements. You'd have skills where you're able to step to the inside and work from there, say a headquarters style passing like the things that Nick was doing. And then you'd also have the ability to work from the outside, more of a Toriando leg drag camping style pass where you could switch to a place where you're working outside the legs. If you can integrate these two things seamlessly, you're going to have a pretty well-rounded guard passing system. Do I think it's possible? 100%.
So if I'm not here, right? So if we're like kind of entering into headquarters, I'm trying to kind of do the Domgjoni thing here, and then but if you have this, then it's hard for me to get to the outside now.
Yeah, well now you're going to be managing grip, so maybe you're going to be stripping this grip, stepping this leg back, pummeling it through, and now here you are on the outside. As I go to respond to the outside, your head comes inside here, and now we're working from this position. As you begin to move around the corner here, maybe I have a good retention game and my legs are back inside. Now it's your chance to step through. Yep, and you can start to knee cut here. If you're successful, great. If not, and you make space and the legs start to come in, maybe now you go to the outside and begin to bring your head down, put weight on me here, wear me down, and now we kind of go back and forth. So I think being able to play like a well-rounded guard player, and Nick is showing inside with this kind of headquarters, and I'm showing this outside. But you'd want to be able to play both of those things. Maybe you'd favor one or the other, but to be able to play inside outside, people who are really successful guard passing can do that.
Would you say it'd be good to kind of like spam one thing like inside like Domgjoni, that immediately just pop to the outside and do that? Or like outside, and then go inside really quick, kind of like tennis. If you're like trying to pass this way, then you go.
I have my perspective. I mean, you can.
I definitely think starting outside always makes more sense, right? That's how the match usually starts, unless obviously somebody pulls with grips. But if you have a moment where there's no grips, I think passing on the outside is always going to elicit a better reaction for the passer, right? You're going to end up at some point where their hips are turned. You can even start going back towards those knee weave type positions, even from the outside. I think it makes more sense. Yeah.
But you don't do a lot of outside passing.
I have started. Yeah, because I've obviously known that it's a kind of glaring weakness in my passing is the outside passing, and I think what's worked well for me now in training is starting with outside passing, maybe not finishing outside, right, to a pin, but usually starting and then getting to some sort of like hip control, a sprawling pass, something like that, right, or another knee weave or knee cut. I think that's kind of, for me, worked pretty well.
Yeah, blending the two, as you said.
To come up with a Higashi pass.
Higashi system. Stay tuned. A month from now, Higashi will have his passing system branded and ready to roll.